Hi, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our second Lunch and Learn for this school year with Osceola County School District. My name is Soren Richardson. With me today, I have two wonderful professional in the work here. I have with me Sarah from the Osceola School District, and I have my coworker Luz Akendo from Family Star with me. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning,
Good
Soren.
morning.
Thank you for inviting us.
Of course. So as you all know, we are F&D. I'm not gonna go through my normal introduction because Luz is gonna go and do that for us today. Sarah, welcome. It's so good to see you and have you again. Do you want to go ahead and tell parents about a little bit about yourself and your role within the school district?
Absolutely. First and foremost, thank you both for agreeing to present this information to our parents. My name is Sarah McKinney. I am the school relations specialist for the ESC department with the school district of Osseo County, as Ms. Soren mentioned. Basically, my role in essence is kind of like the parent liaison. I am work between the parents and the schools in the district. Another one of my roles is to present or actually create ways for parents to be able to get information and resources. And this is one of the ways in which we do that. Ms. Soren has been working with our department for a number of school years doing presentations, much like the one you're about to participate in today. And we are very honored and blessed to have this relationship with you guys. And we appreciate your willingness to do this. And with that being said, I will return it back to you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It's a pleasure to work with you in the school district for a couple of years now. And today we have Luz Akendo from Family Star. So Luz works apart with F&D Pen with the Parent Education Network, but also with Family Star. So today she is going to be presenting on Social Security disability insurance, SSDI, and SSI in her role working with Family Star. So Luz, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Soren. Thank you for inviting me today. And so I want to start by sharing my screen, so that way I can share the information with everyone. All right, there we go. All right, so as Soren mentioned, today I will be presenting on Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, and Social Security income. And so this presentation is a pretty much an overview, just the information that you need to know to get started. Of course, Social Security Administration it's always your best place to get the most up-to-date information as well. And so we'll make sure that you have that link to that website and their contact information. But before we begin our presentation, I do want to talk a little bit about FND and who we are. As Soren mentioned, she saved that tidbit for me today. So again, my name is Luz Okendo. I'm one of the parent training coordinators here with the Family Network on Disabilities. Today, I am presenting with our Family Star program, and our Family Star program is our Family to Family Health Information Center. And so FND is a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization, and that means that we do not work for local, state, or federal agencies. We are funded by the U.S. Department of Education as well as the U.S. Department of Health. And because of these grant sources, the services that we provide will always be free of charge, just like these webinars and some of the families that are joining us today or have joined us in the past. We may have spoken on a one-on-one basis because we do help families in that case, making sure that you understand special education and special health care needs. We are the statewide parent training and information center, as well as the family to family health information center. So we are not attorneys, we're not doctors or mental health professionals. What we are is parents of children with disabilities, many of us are. And so we use our lived experience as well as the research vetted information that we get from the sources to make sure that parents have the information they need to be their child's best advocate. So today's presentation. Today we are going to talk about SSDI and SSI, the application process. We'll also talk about the eligibility for special cases, populations, knowing your rights, navigating the NAP process, and then resources here in the state of Florida. If you have any questions, it's my understanding that there is a chat that's open that you can absolutely post questions. If your questions are more specific to your case, my information will also be shared in the chat so that way you can reach out to me directly and we can always review your specific situation and we can help you as much as we can. All right. So the two Social Security programs are defined as Social Security's disability insurance, which provides benefits to disabled or blind persons who are insured by workers' contribution to the Social Security Trust Fund. And so these contributions are based on your earnings, or it could be based on the earnings of your spouse or parent as required by the Federal Insurance Contribution Act. So Title II of the Social Security Act, it authorizes that SSDI benefit. Your dependent may also be eligible for benefits from your earnings. So dependent, again, that's your spouse, your child. Now we also have the Social Security income, which many families, when we're talking about our SSI for children with disabilities, this is the one that more than likely that we're looking at. So the SSI programs, it makes cash assistance payments to age, blind, and disabled persons. So this includes children who have limited income and resources. So the federal government funds the SSI program from general tax revenues and Title 16 of the Social Security Act, SSI benefits. So again, we always want to make sure that we're clear with that. We're more than likely, unless we'll talk a little bit more about that when it comes to earnings from a parent that has a disability. More than likely, it's the Social Security income that we're discussing, and it is income based, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So the Social Security insurance and social supplemental programs are the largest of the several federal programs that provide assistance to people with disabilities. So while these two programs are different in many ways, both are administered by the Social Security Administration, and only individuals who have a disability and meet medical criteria may qualify for benefits under these programs. So we'll start by discussing how you qualify. And this is for the Social Security insurance that we're talking about in this slide. And so, sorry. So, I'm sorry. Yeah, Social Security insurance. That's what we're going to start with. So to get a better understanding of what SSDI is, we will review who qualify and then how a child could be eligible under their parents' SSDI. So first, we need to understand that SSDI is an insurance that you have been contributing to throughout your employment span. So usually in the end of the year, I don't know about you, but you get those slits in the mail, and they usually tell you how much you're paying in and so forth. So it is there as a protection if you were to become a disabled prior to the age of retirement. So as defined by Social Security Administration, the Social Security Disability Insurance Program, it pays benefits to you and certain family members if you are insured, meaning that you worked long enough and recently enough and you paid Social Security taxes on the earnings. And so I have the link here, and I'll make sure to add that to the chat. All right, so how to qualify. So to qualify for Social Security disability, you must, one, have a medical condition that meets Social Security definition of disability, and have worked in jobs covered by Social Security. So in general, monthly benefits are paid to people who are unable to work for a year or more because of their disability. So let's review 1 and 2 in the next slide. So how do we define disability? Social Security pays for the total disability. 1 second here. Yeah. So yes, pays for the total disability. You cannot do work that you did before. That's how we're defining it. It is decided that you cannot adjust to other works because of your medical condition, and then your disability has lasted or is expected to last for at least 1 year or to result in death. There is a strict definition for Social Security programs, rules assuming that working families have access to other resources to provide support during periods of short-term disabilities. So that includes workers' compensation, insurance savings, and investments. So when filing for SSDI, it is important to know that the diagnosis or conditions are not the most relevant thing that the administration is looking for. They are, in fact, they're looking for how your condition affects your ability in everyday life and how it affects you in gaining, attaining, maintaining employment, and how this condition affects you in specific activities. You cannot do work that you did before. It is decided that you cannot just adjust to other works because of your medical condition. And then again, your disability has lasted or is expected to last at least 1 year or result in death. And so again, we have to make sure that it's not just about the condition, it's also those other factors that contribute to um, qualifying for the disability portion. All right. So here in this slide, we'll talk about the 5-step process to determine you're eligible under the disability definition. The first one is, are you working? If you are working and you have earned the average more than a certain amount each month, we generally will not consider you disabled. The amount changes each year. For the most current figures, this again can be found on their webpage. I will ensure that you have that information. If you're not working or your monthly earnings average the current amount or less, the state agency then looks at your medical condition. So is your medical condition severe? Right? For the state agency to decide that you are disabled, your medical condition must significantly limit your ability to do basic work activities. So this is such as walking, sitting, remembering things for at least 1 year. And if your medical condition is not that severe, then the agency will not consider you disabled. If your condition is that severe, the agency goes on to step 3. So in step 3, is your medical condition on the list of impairments? The agency has a list of impairments that describes medical conditions that are considered so severe that they automatically mean that you are disabled as defined by the law. If your condition or combination of your medical condition is not on the list, the state agency looks to see if your condition is as severe as a condition that is on the list. So now they're comparing your condition with the conditions on the list. If the severity of your medical conditions meets or equals that of the list of impairments, the agency will decide that you are disabled. If it does not, then the agency goes on to step 4. In step 4, we look at, can you do any other type of work? So at this step, the agency decides if your medical condition prevents you from being able to do the work that you did before. If it doesn't, the agency will decide that you are not disabled. If it does, then the agency goes on to step 5. So in step 5, can you do any other type of work? If you cannot do the work that you did in the past, the agency will look to see if you would be able to do other work. If they evaluate your medical condition, they look at your age, your education, your past work experience, and any skills that you may have had that could be used to do other works. And if you cannot do other work, then the agency will decide that you are disabled. If you can do other work, the agency will decide that you are not disabled. In this slide, we'll talk about how much work do you need. The amount needed for a work credit changes from year to year. In addition to meeting the definition of disability, you must have worked long enough and recently enough under Social Security to qualify for benefits. Social Security work credits are based on your total yearly wages or self-employment income. You can earn up to 4 credits each year. In this slide, we'll talk about the benefits for a dependent child under the age of 18. The child's disability does not need to be considered when deciding if he or she qualifies for the benefits as a dependent. The child benefits normally stop at age 18 unless he or she is a full-time student in elementary or high school. Benefits can continue up to age 19 or if they have a disability. And so this is where I said that if you have a child with a disability, this may apply to you. If you have a disability, now your child has a disability, that's where that qualifies your child based on their disability. In this slide, we're going to start talking about Social Security, supplemental security insurance, SSI. So remember, folks, SSI. So as an adult disabled before age 22 may be eligible for child's benefit if a parent is deceased or starts receiving retirement or disability benefits. It's considered a child's benefit because it's paid on the parent's Social Security record, earnings record. So we talked about that in the previous slides where we talked about credits per year. So that's where we're talking about earning records. That's what we're looking at. All right, so the adult child, including an adopted child, or in some cases, a stepchild, grandchild, or step-grandchild, must be unmarried, age 18 or older, have a disability that started before age 22, and meet the definition of disability for adults, and that there's a difference, so for adults. An adult disabled before 22 may be eligible for child's benefit if a parent is deceased, starts receiving retirement or disability benefits. It's considered a child benefit because it's paid again on the parent's Social Security earning records. So here's an example. A worker starts collecting Social Security retirement benefits at the age of 62. He has a 38-year-old son who has cerebral palsy since birth. The son will start collecting a disability child's benefit on his father's Social Security record. So what was it significant? The amount may be higher. So even if at 38, his son who has a cerebral palsy, maybe he was receiving SSI. We'll talk a little bit more about how he would have qualified for it based on his disability, but now he's collecting it on as a child, collecting a disabled child, that may be higher than what he would have received. So that's why it's important to understand the two difference and the two ways of receiving it. So it is not necessary that the adult child ever worked. Benefits are paid based on the parents' earning records. An adult child must not have substantial earnings. The amount of earnings we consider substantial increases each year. For example, in 2024, this means working and earning more than $1,550 a month. All right, now here we are. Now let's talk about a supplemental security income, SSI, which is a federal income supplement program funded by general tax revenues, not Social Security taxes. Here are the eligibility requirements for this program. Anyone who is age 65 or older, blind, and disabled, as well as has limited income, has limited resources, is a US citizen or national, or in one of certain categories. We're going to review each of these on the next few slides. We're going to start with a resident of the 50 states of the District of Columbia or Northern Mariana Islands, is not absent from the country for a full calendar month or for 30 consecutive days or more, is not confined to an institution such as a prison, a hospital at the government expenses, applies for other cash benefits or payments for which he or she may be eligible, for example, pension, social security benefits, and as well as they give SSA permission to contact any of their financial institutions and request any financial records, files, files an application, and then meet certain other requirements. So these again are additional eligibility requirements. In this slide, we'll talk about blindness for an adult or a child. So what I've learned recently is that there is an increase to these benefits when you do, if you're an adult or a child and you are eligible based on your blindness. So you have a central visual acuity for a distance of 2200 or less in your better eye with the use of correctional lenses, or you have a visual field limitation in your better eye such that the widest diameter of the visual field subtends an angle no greater than 20 degrees. If you do have a visual impairment, but you are not considered blind to the SSA rules as defined, you may still be eligible for SSI benefits on the basis of your disability. What does disabled mean for a child? So there are two different definitions. Learning that too. My daughter is 18, and so we've been working through this process, and so it's a huge difference. And so disabled child as defined by SSI includes if a child under 18 has a medical determinable physical or mental impairment, including an emotional or learning problem that results marked and severe function limitations and can be expected to result in death, or has lasted or can be expected to last for a continuous period of not less than 12 months. The compassionate allowance is a quicker way to identify diseases and other medical conditions that by definition meet Social Security standards for both SSDI and SSI disability benefits. These conditions primarily include certain cancers, adult brain disorders, and a number of rare conditions that affect children. The CAL initiative helps reduce waiting time to reach a disability determination for individuals with the most serious disabilities. By incorporating cutting-edge technology, the agency can easily identify potential CAL to quickly make decisions. They receive information from advocacy groups, from comments from Social Security and Disability Determination Services communities, councils, medical experts, research. And so again, they combine this information. So there's certain conditions that they can determine if that person qualifies very easily. So I know we hear a lot about some people having to wait longer than others, and so that is a huge factor. I can give you an example for me in my experience with my daughter. She qualified a lot easier because she is part of that rare disease group, and so Again, that's why I tell many families it doesn't hurt to apply. I know we hear a lot of talk in the community. It's going to take long. It's so hard. It may or it may not be. Everyone's situation is different. If you think you may qualify, even if you think you don't, it's not. It's worth a try to apply. How is disabled adults defined? If you are age 18 or older, we may consider you disabled if you have a medical determinable physical or mental impairment. This also includes emotional or learning problems. So, is it going to result in the inability to do any substantial gainful activity and can be expected to result in death, or has lasted or can be expected to last for a continuous period of not less than 12 months. So that's how what we're looking at when we say disabled for adults. What does limited income mean? And we get this a lot. We get families that call us a lot and they don't understand why their income matters. And so here we are. It is a needs-based program. And so yes, your income is considered in this program. For the purpose of SSI, we're looking at money you earn from work, money you receive from other sources, such as Social Security benefits, workers' compensation, unemployment benefits, the Department of Veterans Affairs, friends or relatives, free food or shelter. What are limited resources as defined by SSI? So for the purpose, these things you own, so they're looking at cash, they're looking at your bank accounts. Remember, one of the requirements was for you to give them access, right? So they're looking at your bank accounts, stocks, US saving bonds, land, vehicle, your personal property, life insurance, anything that you own that can be converted to cash and can be used for food or shelter. The SSI limits for resources, they do count our individuals or a child, 2,000 is the limit, and then couples, 3,000. And here in this slide, we'll talk about how to apply for benefits. So you can apply online at ssa.gov/benefits/disability/. And so we'll make sure that this information is in the chat. You can also call them. A lot of times you call, it's really good because then you can make an appointment as well. So you call 1-800-772-1213. And then you can also visit your local Social Security office to apply without making an appointment, but expect a long line. I had to go down there a couple weeks ago and it was not fun. So that was just to drop off papers. So I can imagine what it trying to apply just going down there would look like. So again, my recommendation would absolutely be online or calling and making an appointment. In this time, we'll talk about knowing your rights. So you have a few rights here. You have the right to apply, and that's really important. Again, apply. Anyone who may apply, there is no charge to apply, just apply. You have the right to receive help from Social Security. As stressful as it was to go down there and as packed as it was, everyone was very helpful. Even the security people were helpful. They were printing out stuff for me, scanning things, so they were very helpful. They will complete the application form for you based on the information you give them. They will help you get documents you need to show that you meet the SSI eligibility requirements. If you are applying because you have a disability or you're blind, then they decided that the medical information needed to make a determination is not available from existing sources. They will pay for you to have a medical exam to test and make an appointment for you. If you need a medical exam or test, you must go to the exam or test before they can determine whether you are eligible to receive SSI. In some circumstances, they may also pay your travel costs to get this exam or test. So for example, like my daughter is visually impaired, and so they've been trying to get her to qualify based on her vision, because like I mentioned, you get additional resources when you have the visual impairment. And so they're saying that her test isn't enough that she has. So they're working on once the government reopens to get her another evaluation. So again, they're doing that because they want to see her get the maximum benefits, and so they're looking at how can they see if she qualifies. So I think that's a really good thing that they're pushing to ensure that you qualify, and if you do. So again, yes, we hear a lot of negative things, but there are people in there, because there are people that are doing this. There are people that work there that are support that may they have families that may qualify, and so they do have good people in there as well. You have the right to a representative. You may appoint someone as your representative to help you with your SSI claim and go with you to your appointments with them. You have the right to a notice. They will notify you in writing of any decision about your SSI eligibility or change in benefits amount. They will also send copies of all notices to your representative if you have one. Each notice about your eligibility or change in benefit amount will explain your appeal rights. You have the right to examine your file. You or your appointed representative may request and examine or get a copy of the information in your case file. Also, you or your representative may review and copy the laws, regulation, and policy statements used in deciding your case. You have the right to an appeal. You may appeal most determinations we make about your eligibility for SSI or changes we make in your benefit amount. In this slide, we'll talk about the appeal process. There are several levels of appeals. So there's reconsideration, hearing before an administrative law judge, the review by the Social Security Appeals Council, and then there's also the review by the federal courts. So you have the right to appeal any decision about whether you're entitled to benefits. You must request that appeal in writing within 60 days of receiving your decision. When SSA makes the first determination of your claim, they will send you a letter explaining the determination along with a guidance on what level of appeal you should select. There are 4 levels of appeal. There's the reconsideration. A reconsideration is a complete review of your claim by someone who did not take part in the first determination. We will look at the evidence submitted, used in the original determination, plus any new evidence. Hearing by administrative law judge. This is a hearing that is conducted by an administrative law judge who has no part in the original determination of the reconsideration of your case. And so after you submit your request for a hearing, you'll receive a confirmation package that explains the hearing process. Families, please don't be intimidated by these different law judges and these appeal process. This is part of your rights. Again, so use your resources. If you get denied, don't be afraid to appeal. So I mentioned, where was I? So review by the appeals council. They look at the request for reviews, but it may deny a request if it believes that the hearing decisions was supported in accordance with Social Security law and regulations. If the appeals council decides to review your case, it will either decide your case itself or return it to an administrative law judge for further review. If you disagree with the hearing decision, you may request a review by the Social Security Appeals Council online. All right, and then the last layer would be the federal court review. If you disagree with the appeals council decision, or if the appeals council decides not to review your case, you can then file a civil suit in a federal district court. This is the last level of appeals process. So you want to make sure that you're very detailed in your other levels of appeals before you get to that level. You can request an appeal online for a reconsideration, a hearing by an administrative law judge, and a review by the appeals council, even if you live outside of the United States. And I can tell you myself, I've done an appeal for reconsideration. It was literally that first level was very simple, sending them documents, and they send me their decision in the mail. So again, don't be afraid to use those processes, because some of them are I'm pretty sure it gets more difficult as you get to the federal court, but in the beginning, it's really not as hard as you think. So again, reach out to us if you need more information. We can guide you on where to go. In this slide, we have additional resources. So again, Social Security Administration, their website has a lot of information and you can apply there. We have a checklist for online adult disability applications. So again, you want to make sure when you're filling out these applications that you're providing the information that they'll need to make that determination, as much information as you have. Again, if they need more information, they will find you. They will find you and they will figure out a way to get the information. Um, Benefits for children with disability. The booklet is on this slide as well. And then the compassionate allowing conditions. There is a lot of conditions, and even for example, my daughter's conditions were not specifically on there, but it mimicked another condition. So they have a very good way of cross-referencing these conditions. Here are some additional resources. We have our website, which has a lot of great information on there as well, www.fndusa.org, the Center for Parent Information and Resources. We have our Family Voices, which is an amazing organization as well. And then the Federation for Families. I love the Federation. They're amazing for families that have children with mental health needs as well. And then Disability Rights Florida. And they're also a really good resource, especially with appeals. I'm not sure if they help with that part, but I know they have a great information as well. So before we continue, I want to make sure that if we have any questions or anything that we want to talk about. Let's see.
There are a few questions in the chat. Are you able to see them, Miss Luz?
I can see them, yes. So let's see. So Soren did share the digital flyer. And then you said the other resources from this workshop is on there. So that would probably be like your first bet to get on that flyer to get those different links. And then the next question, is there an income limit when you apply for your child for SSI? And so as we mentioned in this workshop, that changes. And so the best place for you to get those income limits is on their website, because they have a calculation there that only them can figure it out. So that would probably be the best place for you to get that information. So can your child apply separately, like under the parent? Can your child apply separately? Like, oh, I'm sorry, like not under the parent. So when you're applying for your child, your income counts. So you're essentially you're applying for your child. So they're looking at your child's disability, but they're looking at your income. So technically, no would be the answer. That can your child apply separately? I hope that answers your question. And that's it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the presentation if we don't have any other questions. All right, so here on this slide, I want to talk a little bit more about FND. So there are programs housed under the Family Network on Disabilities. Each program provides a unique service to a specific population. So we talked about, again, we presented this with our Family to Family Health Information Center, but we also have our Parent Training Information Centers, which Soren brings these presentations to you from. And so this program is funded in part by the U.S. Department of Education, and as well as the Office of Special Education Programs. So we have our Pop-In program, which serves North Florida. Our PSN program serves Central and Southwest Florida. And then our PEN program, which again, these presentations are brought to you by, serves Central and Southeast Florida. And so that's our Parent Education Network. And again, I mentioned to you our Family Start program. We are funded by the U.S. Department of Health under the Health Resources and Service Administration. And then our goal is to ensure that parents of children that have special health care as well as mental health needs, are able to make informed decisions about their healthcare needs for their children. We also have a program that's fairly new. It's our Parent to Parent of Florida. And the goal is to connect trained volunteers, support parents to other parents to provide that social and emotional support. Again, the goal is to build community and reduce isolation for parents of children with special needs. And so, if you have any questions in regards to Social Security, or you have a child that has complex medical or mental health needs, please feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information is on here as well. See if it's on this side. Yes, so here you can find our contact information, 1-800-825-5736. You can also contact us at fnd@fndusa.org. And then my email is, I'll go ahead and put my email on here as well. All right, Soren, and if that's, I think I have another question. Can I reapply for my son after they make a decision? Can you reapply for your son after they make a decision? So that's what we talked about, the appeal process. So you can, if you check on their website, we talked a little bit about the different appeals processes. And that would be something that you can consider. What happens if your child stays for an extended high school program until 22? So the program that's separate from, as I don't know which one you're specifically mentioning with the high school. We talked about the the SSI and the insurance one, because with the insurance one is 19, and then so it doesn't matter if they're in the extended program or not. And then for when you're looking to apply as an adult, it would be 18. So that SSD would be 18 is when you're applying for them as an adult. All right, so thank you everyone for joining me today. I hope this information was helpful. I left my email there. Please feel free to call me, email me, and we can set up a time to review your specific situation and go over it in more in depth.
Miss Luz, there was one additional question asking if they're able to start applying with them still in school.
Absolutely. So again, remember that when they're under 18, they're looking at your income, but you absolutely can apply for them while they're still in school. And then once they turn 18, they no longer look at the parents' income. They would be looking at the adult. That's so hard every time I think of 18 as an adult, but the adult's income, which many times it's zero. So I'm disappointed.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Luz, for the wonderful information. And I know that a lot of people may have very specific question. This is an overview. On the link that I shared, I'm going to go ahead and put it again in the chat. Are going to be a lot of information, all the resources, the links where you can specifically go. Oh, hang on. I keep my mouse is getting lost. You can go and find this is not it. You can go ahead and find all the places and where you can go and get information, the phone numbers. We have websites on here. That's it in the chat again. Okay. Anything you wanted to share, Sarah, before we close up the workshop for today?
Absolutely. Again, I just want to say thank you to both of you for your willingness to provide this information to our parents. And I also just want to share with parents that FND will be joining us again in January when they're going to be presenting about caregiver stress and burnout. Our next parent training, though, is going to actually be our Empower Hour that's coming up on November 19th. And the presenter for that particular event is going to be Project 10. And they're going to be sharing some information on transition basics. So we always have things going on. Make sure that you are following us on Facebook as well as I continue to post on Parent Square of the events that we have going on. And we appreciate you all for being here, and I hope you have a blessed day.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And also in February, stay tuned for the Osceola Transition Fair. I don't have the date on me, but I know for a fact that Sarah's going to share those.
I am actually, it's actually February 26th is the tentative date right now. It's a Thursday and it's going to be from 5:30 to 7:30 and it's actually called an evening with the agencies. It is an amazing opportunity for parents to come out and meet with a number of community organizations to get a wealth of information on the resources that are available within our community for students with disabilities. So we look forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks for reminding me about that, Miss Orr.
Yeah, of course. We had a great turnout last year. So we're hoping that everybody's going to come out again to the event. And like Sarah said, keep checking on social media. Everything is going to be posted there. I want to thank Luz for the wonderful presentation with the information. And Sarah, again, thank you so much for having us. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I will see you tomorrow at OITT, and we will see our participants in January again. So
Yes.
have a good
Awesome.
rest of your day.
Yes. Take care, guys.
Thank you.